Hello guys, welcome back. Today we are going to be making the second part of Block Wars episode 19. It is a massive war. World a world war. Like over there a fight started, over here a fight started, over here a fight started. Over there, a fight hasn't started yet. In both the Prismarines, no fight has started yet. But everywhere else, there's basically been a fight, except for in the Netherrack and in the Bedrock. So we start off with the Obsidian pulling even more soldiers away from the Moss, which is a very dumb kind of thing to do, because the Moss have prepared a large force, and the Moss launch a couple more troops to their border, and then the invasion starts. And tons of their troops are pushing forward, or all of their troops are pushing forward. And the Obsidian are shocked at seeing the Moss forces pile up on their border and launch an invasion. And meanwhile, over in the Holy Netherrack Church, or Holy Netherrack Empire, they decide to send their troops over onto the border with the Lapis. So the Lapis call back some troops from their border with the Bedrock to try and hold back this invasion. And this immediately makes the Bedrock launch an invasion of the Lapis as well. So Lapis have built up walls right here to hold off any Bedrock attacks. And so right now, the Lapis are on total defense, and are definitely scared of the Bedrock and their forces. Meanwhile, the Lapis forces to the north decide that they want to call upon the Sponge to aid them, even though they said they wouldn't. And they launch their forces forward and attack the obsidian settlements over here. And the Lapis also launch a small invasion from the east into the obsidian forces. So the Obsidians suddenly realize that they are broken apart, and they order all of their troops in the middle to retreat as they are being killed, and they decide that they do not want to suffer such a horrible fate. And the Obsidian quickly fall back from some of this northern territory, or far northern territory, whatever you want to call it. And they retreat to a more suitable location, though they do lose quite a few of their soldiers. And the Lapis build a new line to halt or break the Obsidian forces and try and gain ground. So the Lapis seem to be doing very, very well with this invasion force, as they have conquered a ton of land and have gained tons of ground. But they have also lost quite a few soldiers. And by few, I mean a ton. So, when they try and push, they have a lot smaller of a force than they wanted. but it is still doing them some good, so they will continue the assault. Meanwhile, across the center, the Lapis forces have gained tons of ground and have lost some soldiers as well. So the Lapis are taking their ground slow but steady and make it very clear that they will do anything that they want to win the battlefield. So some more of their forces deploy. And they quickly start crossing into obsidian lands. But the obsidian call back some of their forces, or at least one troop, and this one soldier's job is to defend this point. Now, on the other side of the battlefield, the moss have been crashing into the obsidian forces, losing some troops of their own. But the obsidian are forced to make a desperate surrender or retreat, not surrender, retreat, and only the obsidian generals and their 2 soldiers are left standing. The Moss have suffered catastrophic losses, but that will not stop them from achieving their goal of trying to conquer the obsidian. Now, meanwhile, this force is actually holding out very well. And the Lapis are having to call more and more troops forward to continue the attack. And even their general is killed in combat. So the soldiers, now with no leader, charge forward in a bloody assault of the obsidian, trying to gain every single inch of territory. And the Lapis forces retreat to try and get a firmer hold of territory. But the obsidian forces here are slowly breaking them. Meanwhile, the obsidian general here surrenders, and the sponge forces go back with only 2 of their soldiers as they were thrown out first to fight. But this is still a massive victory for the Lapis, as they have just gained control over this territory. The Moss lose about their entire military, but the general here surrenders, and he is forced to give up his forces and retreat back to the Obsidian territory. Now the Moss has secured what they wanted out of this war: to regain control over all of their territory, or former territory, but now it's theirs. And they decide to launch an offensive against the Obsidian forces to the west of them, and the Obsidian capitulate, and their entire army is either executed or turned into a puppet army. So here are basically the terms for the war. Well, this part of it. So the Moss regain control over all of their former territory, and they also hold the mountain range up until you get to the eastern part of the or northern part of the mountain range, and that is where the obsidian, or should I say now, crying obsidian, are kept. So the Obsidian are turned into the puppet state or puppet nation of the Crying Obsidian. They are insanely weak now, and not insanely weak, but like they are very, very weak in comparison to what they were. And now their army is very limited in size and in power. And so the former nation of the Obsidian, which was insanely powerful at one time, is knocked clean, well, not clean, but knocked off the map, and is now turned into the Crying Obsidian, which are not near as powerful as the former nation of the Obsidian. The Lapis now have complete control over most of this region, and now they retreat part of their forces to specific designated areas for defense and protection of their population. And they'll handle most of the aftermath of that war after this video. I'll do it off camera. But meanwhile, the other war is still going on, and it is not at all good for the Holy Netherrack, as their entire military is wiped out, as even though they did bolster quite a large army and pretty good, really good defenses, they are not, their forces are not experienced in combat at all. So, they are instantly annexed by the Lapis but are still kept around as a nation. Just with much less of a territory size as they did have. The Lapis use most of the resources acquired from all the broken walls and buildings and stuff to build up houses and other things and repair everything after such a big war. So the Lapis are left with a much, much, much larger empire. Even though they already had basically, or not basically, the largest empire and very, very, very big in comparison to all the other nations. Now they're even bigger in comparison to all the other nations. And so now the Netherrack are much weaker than they were. But their walls are expanded to build this almost fortress-like height and power. And they are now very, very defended within their little wall palace thing combo. And so after all this time, they have the netherrack and the lapis. The netherrack have grown weak, but also strong at the same time, as they have now built a fortress. And the lapis have finally gotten revenge on just about all their foes, but they still have one more enemy that they need to settle the fight with. And that foe is the bedrock. They have been an annoyance to the lapis for countless times, and the bedrock don't even put up a fight and are instantly annexed by the lapis. They have fallen. Hope you guys like this video. We won't be adding in any of the prismarine or netherite growth this video because it's all about the war, and also those nations are a little bit tired from growing right now, especially the netherite who were just in a war. But anyways, bye guys, hope you had a great time watching this amazing video. And I'll see you guys next time. Make sure to like the video, subscribe, and bye.